A very good evening and warm welcome to the Business Roundup on another weekend. We at television bring you as usual another collection of latest happenings and developments in the business arena, easing your decision-making moments. I'm Ashingsani Veerasinghe. Now let's have a look at the headlines for today. Government plans a master plan for tourism sector targeting a revenue of $10 billion. State Minister finds fault of the previous government for delaying another mega project by a Singaporean company. New government should name and shame all culprits linked to central bank bond scam, says senior advisor on economic affairs to the Prime Minister. News in detail. State Minister of Tourism Arundhika Fernando says the government has already prepared a master plan for the tourism sector targeting a revenue of $10 billion. State Minister made these revelations addressing a media briefing held in Colombo last Wednesday.
We want to get $10 billion revenue into the country with 7 million tourist arrivals. So for that there is a master plan, and we want to coordinate with all the other relevant ministries in the country. Today, CNN has named Sri Lanka is the best destination for the tourists in 2020. So we are hoping to promote Sri Lanka. With the funds that we are getting a big amount of money from the TDL Tourism Development Levy and also from the airport tax. So with that money that what we have, we want to do a proper promotion programs in other countries.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa directs officials to grant approval for properly drafted housing and small-scale business construction plans within a day. President Rajapaksa made this directive during a meeting with the officials affiliated to the Ministry of Urban Development, Water Supply and Housing Facilities, which was held at the Presidential Secretariat last week.
Accordingly, during the discussions with the officials, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa emphasized that it is required to simplify the existing rules and regulations pertaining to the approving construction plans. President also directed that an official with a legal background should be appointed to grant approval plans in the waiting list, and issuing conformity certificate in a day was made mandatory. The necessity of granting loans at a concession rate with a long repayment period for those who are purchasing a house for the first time was also discussed. On the other hand, during the discussion, special attention was drawn to waste management, and President informed the relevant officials to take steps to transform waste into organic fertilizer and use technology to the maximum during the process. Meanwhile, President also directed to expedite Veras Ganga project and beautification of cities.
Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman says Sri Lanka will enact a new banking act in next year, and that regulations will be introduced to supervise banks that are set up in the Colombo International Financial Center. Central Bank Governor Professor Lakshman made these observations announcing the roadmap for 2020 at the Central Bank premises last Monday.
The Central Bank initiated drafting a new banking act and expects to complete its enactment in 2021. Key concepts of the proposed act include provisions to introduce a single type of banking license for licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized banks, adoption of proportionality in banking regulations commensurate with bank size, its nature of operations, etc., subsidiarization of banks incorporated outside Sri Lanka, and allowing to ring-fence subsidiaries from adverse external shocks, streamlining approval for establishment of branches and other banking outlets, strengthening consumer protection, deposit insurance and governance, amalgamating both offshore banking unit and domestic banking unit operations into a single banking business, and improving resolution enforcement and supervisory sections. Further, the new Banking Act will contain provisions to extend regulations for banks which are to be established in the Colombo International Financial Center.
Speaking further on central bank stance towards international monetary agencies, Central Bank Governor added that the CBSL will engage with the IMF and other international agencies aligning with the overall national policy framework.
During the year 2019, Sri Lanka went through the fifth and sixth reviews of the extended fund facility of the International Monetary Fund. This was done successfully and Sri Lanka received the sixth and seventh tranches of disbursements. We hope to engage with the IMF and other international agencies, remaining within the overall national policy framework, negotiating for changes in the IMF program where changes are considered required.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Information and Communication Technology State Minister Lakshman Abewardena finds fault of the previous government for delaying the project by a Singaporean company to build a 30-story commercial tower and over 600 residential units at Baladaksha Mawatha in Colombo. State Minister made these observations clarifying over the criticisms by the opposition and several other sections of the society over leasing out a 3-acre land to a Singaporean company for a mega development project.
State Minister of Information and Communication Technology Lakshman Abewardena said that a Singaporean company named Perennial Real Estate Holdings Limited had submitted a proposal to the Ministry of Defence for a mega development project on a 3-acre land between Bear Lake and Shangri-La Hotel, Colombo. State Minister Abewardena said that the proposal, which came up in 2016, had been neglected by the previous government, and present government updated the project to build around 700 residential units, a 30-storied commercial tower and retail food and beverage area. He also said that the initial investment of $202 million was increased to $250 million and the time period was also increased to 6 years from 4 years.
මේක ඉතාමත්ම විනිවිදභාවයෙන් කරපු වැඩක්. කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ අනුමැතිය අරගෙන ආයෝජනයට
This was done in a very transparent manner. The Cabinet of the Ministers approved it after studying the project. There is no any obstacle to proceed with the project. The country needs investments. We need to increase direct foreign investments to strengthen the economy. We have no any clue why the project was delayed by the previous government. The initial request for the project has been done in 2016 and an estimate was also done in 2017. However, we went for a new estimate before the new MOU. The agreement is not yet signed, but it will be signed at the end of January after the full amount was paid to Sri Lankan government. The company has to begin the project by March. The Board of Investment had okayed this project after following all the rules and regulations.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka announced that its Monetary Board has extended the suspension of activities of Perpetual Treasuries Limited for another 6 months effective from last Sunday. The suspension on Perpetual Treasuries was first implemented on July 6, 2017 for a period of 6 months and then was extended by another 6 months. The Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, acting in terms of the regulations made under the Registered Stock and Securities Ordinance and the Local Treasury Bills Ordinance, has decided to extend the suspension of PTL from carrying on the business and activities of a primary dealer for a period of 6 months, the Central Bank announced. The suspension on Perpetual Treasuries was first implemented on the 6th of July 2017 for a period of 6 months, and then the suspension was extended for several times by the periods of 6 months. Anyhow, when the parliament was met this week, the parliamentarians from both the government and the opposition demanded Speaker Karut Jayasuriya to publish the forensic audit report, which had been completed by now defunct COPE committee soon. A presidential commission of inquiry which probed the rigged bond auction that allegedly benefited Perpetual Treasuries recommended criminal action against those involved and profits to be recovered. Accordingly, Perpetual Treasuries Limited owner Arjun Aloysius and CEO Kasun Palisena were arrested and later released on bail in January last year after being remanded for over 10 months for being linked to the central bank bond scam. Former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahendran, who happens to be the father-in-law of Aloysius, is absconding court and has a red notice for his arrest. In November, 6 foreign forensic audits commissioned to investigate the bond scam and allegations of earlier misconduct in primary bond auctions and the managing of the Employees' Provident Fund were completed. However, the Attorney General's Department has taken time to publish the reports as they may be used in future legal action against wrongdoers. Senior advisor on economic affairs to the Prime Minister and former Central Bank Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral stresses that new government should severely punish each culprit linked to the central bank bond scam and be named and shamed irrespective to the high-profile statuses they hold. Cabral made these observations launching his new book titled The Great Bond Scam Cover-Up, the Mother of All Cover-Ups in Colombo recently.
So what should you do if you catch them? Remove their civic rights. Of course, punish them criminally according to the law, but at least don't allow them to come and do it again. Can we do it again? So I'm suggesting that we strip them of their civic rights so that they are unable to carry out these kinds of things ever again. So the new government has a responsibility. You may say I'm also a part of the new government. Yes, I am. Although I'm in advisory capacity, I will have to give advice. So here's some advice that I'm going to give the new government. Advice is identify and punish all perpetrators and accomplices of the bond scam without limiting the punishment only to the errant governor and the few PTL officials. Extend it. Take the net out. Take all who are responsible and prosecute them. Recover the ill-gotten gains earned and enjoyed by the bond scam perpetrators and their accomplices. Name and shame all who have aided and abetted the commission and the cover-up, which is also as bad. Doing the bond scam is one thing, covering up is also bad, terribly bad. Find out who they are, name and shame them. Mitigate and stop the continuing losses that are being suffered by the government, the economy, and the people as a consequence of the bond scams.
Speaking further, senior economic advisor to the Prime Minister, Ajit Niwad Cabral, said the forensic audit did nothing but safeguarded the mastermind and the scam's wrongdoers. Moreover, Cabral highlighted that necessary administrative procedures and governance structures should be implemented to prevent political interference in technical subjects such as the bond issuance procedure of the CBSL.
Implement the required administrative procedures and governance structures to prevent political interference in the technical subjects such as bond issuing procedure of the central bank. People from the politicians need not get involved in that. That's a technical job. When you have a procurement, you don't have a politician coming and fingering into that. It is the job of the technicians. They have to do that. And that was being done at the central bank for 18 long years. Perfectly done. There were no allegations whatsoever. And that was changed. And importantly here, ascertain whether the funds earned through the bond scam were used to finance the election campaigns of certain politicians. And name such politicians.
We will be back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. A survey commissioned by the Advocata Institute in April last year reveals that 57% of Sri Lankans were unwilling to pay extra for food, even if it meant that the local agricultural industry would be protected. This survey covered 855 respondents in 18 districts within 8 provinces in Sri Lanka. The survey also revealed that the lower the socio-economic category, the less willing respondents were to pay extra for their food to protect the local industry. Socio-economic category is the category an individual falls into based on their education and occupation. It was only in the highest socio-economic category where 51% answered yes, agreeing to incur a higher cost of living at the cost of protectionist taxes. Socio-economic category following it were increasingly reluctant to pay more for food, even if it meant that local businesses were protected, since the lower income households spent most of their income on food, according to the Household Income and Expenditure Survey. The survey also noted differences across provinces, and respondents from the North Central and Sabaragamu provinces were more willing to incur higher food costs, with 64% from the North Central province and 61% from the Sabaragamu province answering yes. In contrast, only 22% of respondents from the Southern province and 24% from the Northwestern province answered positive. Interestingly, 72% of males were unwilling to bear the burden of a higher cost for food, according to the survey. Now we have a subject expert at First Capital Holdings bringing you a detailed review on the stock performances for the past week and a stock forecast for the coming week to assist you in decision-making activities.
Stock market continuously showed up a downtrend for the third consecutive day on Wednesday amid the US-Iran tensions, and foreign buying was witnessed on selected counters during the week. Rest of the market was broadly silent with weak investor interest. On Thursday, market turned green while recording a turn of LKR 23 billion, mainly contributed by John Key's transaction. We expect market activities to slowly pick up with the release of company earnings in the following week. We expect the market to be on a positive momentum on expectations on strong earnings from companies as we are registering a recovery in demand. However, foreigners are likely to show some selling pressure.
That's all the news today. You can also watch our news and latest updates through our Facebook page, our television. You're now given an opportunity to send your feedback over your daily business lineup, State of Business and Biz Roundup. Email us your comments, ideas and views to newsmanager@rtvlk.com or call us on 011 5394 That's it for today and see you on Monday with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.